everybody, welcome back. I wanted to record this quick little bonus video to the last lesson. I got done recording that last one, got it up on YouTube, hopped on chess.com and started playing, and then this game happened, and it just kind of had everything I talked about in the last video. So I'm playing the white pieces here, and I just wanted to show you kind of two major things that we talked about in the last video, and then sure enough, it was all right there in my next, well, it wasn't my next game, but it was a couple games later. So just like I told you, my goal is to obviously open up with middle moves, heading towards the center, try to get these four people into the battle quickly, and try to castle. I end up castling on this side, so we'll see how this sort of plays out. Both kind of doing the same thing so far. He's got the same idea, right? He's getting his minor pieces involved. I played this move, which, you know, you can start to mess around with your openings a little bit. My whole goal is I want to bring this guy out, and I want him to have a little extra backup. He's already covered here, and he's already covered with the queen, and now he's going to have a third guy covering him. My opponent has one attacker, two attackers, three attackers, so I needed a third, defender before I could move this pawn out and try to control the center. So that was my thinking. He already had three people covering this square. I only had two, so brought out one more here. So there it comes. He backs up because he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't mind losing this piece. Well, I don't know. He shouldn't. He should mind it. I don't know. What does he do here? I maybe should have taken this piece because I have two people attacking it and he only has one person guarding it. But I'm now threatening to take that piece anyway. So he decides to capture after all. And I still haven't gotten these guys in the game, and I still haven't castled, but that's coming. He takes, so I take back. Just a little delay. I have full control over the center, and I have this guy developed, and he just has one bishop. That's all he has. So he's going to chase me away here because he's threatening to take me. I don't want that. So I run away. And he does the thing I've told you twice now not to do. Don't bring your queen out too early because you can really start to pester her. And he really needs to be castling, and he needs to be getting his other two minor pieces in the game. So what do I do here? I continue to develop. I'm noticing he has two people attacking my one pawn, and at the time I only had one defender, so I just brought another defender into the game. He's now got me in check, so I have to deal with that. So I block it with my knight. There's my castle. And I think here's where the game starts to get interesting. I want to push one of these pawns. I either want to push this pawn, which then attacks this guy, or I want to push this pawn, which then attacks the queen. I'm not sure. Let's see. I attack the queen here, so he has to move her. I attack the queen again, so he has to move her again. He moves his queen again. He's just moving her around. He still hasn't castled. He still hasn't gotten this pawn out of the way so that this guy can get free. He's just moving his queen around instead of developing. Now I'm attacking his bishop. He runs away. I attack his queen again. Again, she can't capture me. She could capture me if she wanted to, but I'm just going to capture her back. You definitely don't want to be trading a queen for a bishop. So he has to run away. I attack her again. I'm just going to keep pestering this queen until something happens. Is that what he did in the game? Oh, why did he do that in the game? I was like, why did he take me? He took me because he can't go anywhere else. He can't go here or here because my pawn has both of those squares covered. He can't go here because my queen can capture right there. He can't go here because my bishop has that covered. And he can't take my pawn because My pawn has that covered. So his queen is absolutely stuck. And that's why you don't bring your queen out too early in the game, because stuff like this happens. You can just keep pestering her, and sometimes she gets boxed into a corner. I guess painted into a corner in this case. And so his response is, well, I'm losing my queen, so I may as well grab his bishop. At least I'll get something for it. So he grabs my bishop, I take his queen, and then we continue to play. He finally castles. And I'm just going to kind of play this game out. I don't want to discuss all the technical parts of this game, but I did want to show you that I did get a pawn to the end of the board in this particular case. And I made it a knight, which is hilarious because a knight would put him in check. Normally you would want to upgrade to a queen, but I wanted to put him in check right there because I didn't want him to have a turn. I wanted him to have to deal with this. So he takes me and I take him back. He moves and I capture. And then I think I eventually start to squish him in a corner here. And I don't have him in checkmate yet, but he resigned the game at this point. I don't know what took him so long, but any move he does, no matter what he does, he's going to be in checkmate on the next move. So he could just make a move and I would squish him. And now again, I've got him covered in every direction and the queen is protected, and that's the key. So there you go. Hope you like that. Hope that was a good example of everything I've been trying to teach so far. And now I have a couple of other things to teach building on this. Yeah, so, as long as we are playing, I figure this is probably as good as any time to talk about the piece value. I like to let people play first. I think it's important to just get a feel for the game and get a feel for the pieces and kind of start to pick favorites. Obviously, the queen tends to be everybody's favorite. It's just such a powerful piece because of how many squares it can move it and she can go in all kinds of different directions. So she obviously does more than what these two can do individually. She's basically both a rook and a bishop at the same time. And so that's just makes her so incredibly powerful. The knight is such a unique piece that it's really creative how it attacks. And so, but it also is very slow, right? It's very hard to move a knight from this end of the board. You have to take so many turns to get all the way to the other side of the board. So it's a little slow moving piece, but it's still pretty good. And then the pawn, of course, only goes forward and doesn't have a lot of potential, and it's very slow. But it does have a nice bonus if you get it to the end of the board. So, whoa, how did you get over there? So the question is, how do we kind of value these pieces? When should you capture and when should you not capture? And so the general rule is that, so giving a point value to each one is generally you can trade as long as you're going to get the same amount of points. So for example, we consider a pawn worth 1 point, if you want to think of it that way. These guys are worth 3 points, and they're more or less considered equal to each other. So if I could grab your bishop and you could grab my knight, that's considered a fair trade. Whereas if I can grab your knight, but all you can grab is my pawn, well, that's not a fair trade for you because you didn't get anything you got 1 value and I got 3 value. So I got to take a more valuable piece. Rooks have a value of 5. Again, they kind of do a lot what the bishops do, but they, as I've mentioned a couple times, you can get 2 rooks that really help each other out side to side or up and down. And so that gives rooks a little extra value, a little better than a little better than bishops. So far we have 1. We have these guys are both worth 3 points, and this is worth 5 points. There's times in a game where you might trade a rook and a pawn for one of each of these pieces. There's kind of a common opening where you end up trading. I lose this piece and this piece. You lose this piece and this piece. and we've both lost an equivalent of 6 points, right? 5 plus 1 or 3 plus 3. Now, we haven't lost the same pieces, so the game might feel a little different for each of our sides, but generally speaking, it's considered still to be a more or less fair game because we've lost the same amount of points. By the way, there's nothing official about these values. It's just sort of a way in your head to sort of know whether you're getting a good deal or a bad deal. The queen is worth 9 points, so she's just so powerful. So if you ever have an opportunity, for example, to sacrifice your queen but grab 2 rooks, maybe I'll put another rook there. It'd be like you're getting 10 points from your opponent, and they're only getting 9 points. And so the idea is, it's just a general way, a rule of thumb. And the king has no value. There is no losing the king, so he's the object of the game, obviously. So maybe keep that in mind as you play. Try to prioritize keeping your 9 pointers and your 5 pointers alive, and only try to lose your 3 pointers when you're going to get either a bigger piece like a rook or a queen, or it's going to be some sort of equal trade. But don't forget, these guys are equal to each other, or they're considered equal more or less, especially for beginners and intermediate players. They're essentially considered equal. So yeah, good luck.